What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and it appears that Kanye West finally responded to all of the backlash from him wearing a shirt that says White Lives Matter. Here's what he had to say. Here's my latest response when people ask me why I made a tee that says White Lives Matter. ... They do. Just as simple as that. A simple yet sweet response, and people are still losing their minds behind it. Now, in my personal opinion, if you are directly offended or affected by Kanye West's t-shirt, then maybe, just maybe, you need to look in the mirror. Maybe, just maybe, you're a bigot yourself. Maybe, just maybe, you judge people based on the color of their skin. In my opinion, this whole new movement about racial awareness and racial equality is doing the exact opposite of what they claim to do. If anything, I feel like our government, these tech companies, and the powers that be are doing nothing more than rattling the hornet's nest. Have racial relations gotten any better over the past few years? No, they have gotten dramatically worse. We have rewinded the clocks back decades, because my generation, growing up, going to public schools and what have you, we were all integrated. We all loved each other. We, as a generation, we were no longer looking at color as the first thing when you judge someone. But now it's like all about race. This whole movement has been nothing more but causing racial tensions. Like they're throwing fuel on a fire. And it seems to me like they are adamant about painting out white people to be the big bad villain. Because you see, Black Lives Matter, that's okay. Stop Asian hate, that's okay. But if you say anything about white people at all, oh, you must be a bad, evil person. It's almost as if like white people aren't allowed to celebrate their heritage, their culture, anything, because if they do, it's labeled a hate crime. It's really weird, but it's the way this modern day movement is going. And I feel like Kanye's shirt was to send a message, if you will. And the fact that so many people are so upset about it, I think kind of proves his point. But he went on to say this as well. He actually had a lot to say today. Ye cares about Black lives. Ye's White Lives Matters is a comment on the status quo. Ye's Black Lives Matters is a comment on how society frames independent revolutionary actions into a limited space of grand narratives. When an artist like Ye challenges those framed spaces in a dialectical way, he is persecuted. He puts the grand narratives at risk. Black Lives Matter is an example of a movement that oppressors tolerate, commercialize, and use to cleanse themselves from international and historical guilt. When Ye says that Black Lives Matter is a scam, he means that nothing really changed. Blood still covers the sidewalks. And this was something that I had to kind of put in the head of people over the past couple of years, because I know a lot of people support this movement, or at least they think they support this movement, because there's messages within this movement that we can all get behind, I think, for the majority of us could get behind. But there's always something else behind the scenes going on. And there was a lot of dark, twisted stuff behind the scenes of this organization. And what I had to tell people is, when you're protesting, right? When you're being an activist, and the mainstream media, all of the big corporations, and even your government gets behind that activism, you're no longer an activist. You're no longer fighting for the movement that you think you're fighting for. Your movement has been hijacked, and you're now a corporate puppet. So when you saw all of these organizations, the NFL, Disney, you name it, Coca-Cola, all supporting BLM, flying BLM flags, and then you had our government supporting it as well, flying BLM flags. At that point, you should have been able to step back and realize, wait, what the heck is going on here? Being an activist is anti-establishment at heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're fighting alongside the government and these big corporations, then you're not an activist anymore. At all. You're just a government flunky, if you will. You're doing the bidding of the government. So make no mistake about it, BLM was nothing more than another branch of this totalitarian regime that's trying to silence people, that's trying to shake our world up like a snow globe. If you really just take a step back and look at how things have happened over the past few years, this wasn't a natural occurrence. It's almost as if the powers in control of this world decided one day that, hey, you know what? We're going to shake things up a bit. Don't get me wrong. Things have been going, there's always crazy things happening in our world. But as a society, we were progressing to a certain point where I feel as if we were coming too close together. And make no mistake about it, the powers that be, they want us divided. They want us divided by race, sexuality, the 47 genders that they just created today, all of these different religions. They want to have different political factions. Now there's not just Republican and Democrat and Libertarian. Now there's far right, far left. You know, it's just so many different labels they want to place on you to divide you. And they want us to hyper-focus on race to divide us. Back in the day when you participated in someone's culture or you enjoyed someone else's culture, it was a good thing. Now it's called cultural appropriation. I'm telling you all right now, you think that this social justice movement is here to make things better? It's not. Like I said, the powers that be decided one day that things were going too good. Things weren't perfect. Things will never be perfect. But as a society, at least here in America, we were coming together. We were setting aside our differences. We were becoming more accepting of certain things that we needed to accept. So they decided to shake things up a bit. And now they're throwing out a lot of things out there that none of us should accept, but they tell us if you don't accept it, you're a bad person. If you don't want 9-year-old girls getting their tits chopped off because they claim they're a little boy because they like Hot Wheels, you're a bad person now. So I'm not down with all of these new movements going on because I know that they're not about what they're talking about. They're not about the messages that they claim they're about. And not to mention Black Lives Matter has basically made millions upon millions of dollars off the tears and suffering of black people in this country. Make no mistake about it. And not a single one of those dollars was pumped back into the community. If anything, BLM would tear down inner city communities, destroying small businesses, making it a harder place to live, while also eliminating jobs within the community. No good came out of it, and they disappear whenever it's not election season. And the mainstream media doesn't cover police killing unarmed black men until it's election season. Where's all the police killings nowadays? I don't really see many, do you? But during certain portions or certain times of the year, it's all we see. Whatever, let's get back to what Kanye West has to say. I'm sure I ruffled enough feathers for one day. Ye proves that if artists have an opinion in territories that are unknown and new, like any true revolutionary, they are assaulted. Ye is an artist. Ye cares about all lives, all people, and he is working against all oppression. Ye is an artist with independent power. Grand narratives created by politics and media will always be in conflict with the artist. The artist is ultimately above the grand narratives. When I see these conflicts happening over and over again, I see the persecution of the artists who is trying to be at the avant-garde for all of us. I don't know that word, I'll admit it. Artists should not be judged for the form of their expression because they have a dialect way of articulating meanings. On November 5th, 1975, at Pasolini's funeral, Alberto Moravia cried, "The poet shall be sacred. There aren't many poets, maybe 3 born in a century. We have lost this poet." He created civil poetry and had the courage to tell the truth. So, I mean, I can't sit here and say that I disagree with anything Kanye West said. Now, when they talk about yay this, yay that, like, I don't know if this is a spokesperson for Kanye, but it's most likely just Kanye referring to himself in the third person, which seems to be something that Kanye West would do, right? But I know this is going to ruffle feathers. I know people are going to get upset about this, but we need to start having these conversations. Facts don't care about feelings, and the facts have been exposed. And this organization is a scam. Now, what I want people to realize is, just because this organization is a scam doesn't mean that there weren't real people on the streets protesting that felt like they were fighting for a just cause. I understand that. But a lot of people have had the wool pulled over their eyes. They've been duped. They have been used as puppets by the mainstream media, by their government, you name it. No good really came out of it. Lives were lost. Nothing has changed. If anything, things are worse now than they've been ever in my life. And I'm 31 years old. And it's a shame that all of the past generations before us, they saw progress. Sit down and talk to your grandmother or your grandfather and talk to them about how times have changed since they were born. They progressed through life and they saw times and things change and things get better, things get more convenient, things get more widely accepted. But here in the now, in 2022, we hit a wall or something. And now we're going backwards. Racial relations are worse. And now we're having discussions over who's even a boy or a girl or if men can get pregnant. It's like we took basic truths and we eliminated them. And now we're trying to discover the truth all over again, a truth that we knew since the beginning of conception. I can go on all day, but I want to know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.